The snowstorm hadn't let up in days. On the edge of the collapsed mining colony of Valereach, nestled against a half-buried cargo shelter, a woman knelt with her arms wrapped tight around a small child. Her skin was a pale sapphire, hair like white silk whipped around her gaunt face, and her long ears drooped under the weight of exhaustion. The child, perhaps 4 cycles old, was buried under layers of worn cloth that barely held back the cold. They had walked too far, for too long, on little more than hope and desperation. When she saw the soft orange light glowing in the distance, a cabin, intact, smoke curling from its chimney, she found her last ounce of strength and approached. Holding her daughter close, she knocked. A man answered the door. He was tall, with the build of someone used to hard labor, and eyes that immediately sharpened at the sight before him. A rifle hung loosely at his side, but his hand didn't move to it. Not yet. The woman fell to her knees in the snow, holding up a shaking handwritten note in standard script. "Just one more meal for my daughter, please." She didn't speak aloud. Her kind hadn't for years, not since the pacification war taught them that speaking made them targets. The man, Elias Ward, lowered his eyes to the child, then back to her. He opened the door wider. "Come in." Inside, the heat from the fireplace was immediate and almost overwhelming. The child whimpered as warmth prickled her frostbitten cheeks. The woman flinched too, out of instinct. For too long, warmth had been a trap, a rare commodity offered only as bait. Elias moved slowly, deliberately. He pointed to a blanket draped over the couch and a steaming pot on the stove. "You can sit. I'll get food." She hesitated, clutching the child tighter. Elias saw her eyes dart across the room, calculating exits, threats. "Just food," he said quietly. "I promise." She moved, but only enough to place her daughter near the fire. She stayed knelt beside her, arms curled protectively as the girl's thin fingers reached for the heat. Elias ladled out a thick stew into a metal bowl and handed it over. The mother didn't touch it. She gave it all to her daughter, spoon by spoon, with care that suggested both reverence and routine. Only when the child's breathing evened out did the woman accept a few bites herself. He didn't ask her name. Not yet. He just watched. The next morning, they were still there. Elias hadn't expected them to stay. He'd offered the couch for the night, laid out an extra quilt, even hesitantly provided dry clothes. He expected them gone before dawn. Instead, when he stepped out of his room, he found the mother curled beside the fireplace, the child asleep with her head in the woman's lap. Elias made coffee. The woman woke with a start at the sound. Her eyes were wide, breath shallow. Elias raised a hand. "Still safe. Want some?" She didn't answer. But when he poured a second mug and set it near her, she eventually reached for it. Her voice came a few minutes later. Barely a whisper. "Lyra." He turned. "What?" "My name is Lyra. And my daughter is Nessa." He gave her a nod. "Elias." A long pause. Then, "You shouldn't help us. We're not welcome." He leaned against the table. "I've never been much for popular opinions." Over the next few days, Lyra didn't ask for more. She helped where she could. Cleaned dishes, swept snow from the walk, and even patched a torn thermal jacket. Elias didn't stop her. Didn't treat her like charity. When Nessa smiled, really smiled, for the first time, Elias caught himself smiling too. They didn't talk about what had happened to her people. Everyone knew. The Alliance broke their treaty. The refugee colonies were overrun. Anyone who made it out alive did so with scars. One night, as snow howled against the windows, Elias noticed Lyra staring at the flames. "You're not the first who's come through here," he said softly. She glanced at him. "But you're the first who didn't steal from me." The first who asked only for food. The others, they were scared. Violent. She nodded. Because we knew it was the only way to survive. I know. I guess I'm trying to say I'm glad you knocked. Lyra's voice caught. I almost didn't. I almost kept walking. Elias looked over at Nessa, asleep beneath a mound of blankets. Then I'm glad you didn't. Weeks passed. Spring threatened the horizon. Elias taught Nessa how to plant potatoes. She was small but eager. Lyra began taking shifts in the greenhouse, helping repair damaged irrigation. She never overstepped, never assumed permanence. Elias built a third chair at the table. One night, after supper, Lyra stood by the door. I think we should leave soon. The snows are easing. There will be others needing a place. Elias didn't answer at first. Then he looked at Nessa, now curled in the armchair, thumb in her mouth, feet dangling above the floor.
She doesn't want to go, he said.
Lyra's voice was soft. She'll survive. But she doesn't just need survival now. That hit something raw in Lyra. Her eyes shimmered. I can't ask you to. You didn't. She looked down. Stay, Elias said. Both of you. This is a big place for one man. Lyra's voice trembled. Are you sure?
Yeah.
He met her eyes. I've never been more sure. Years later, the cabin had 3 bedrooms. Nessa had a sun lamp over her reading nook and a little garden of her own. Lyra no longer flinched when someone knocked. She spoke openly, laughed sometimes. And Elias? He didn't feel alone anymore. When off-worlders visited, they'd sometimes whisper or stare. But it didn't matter. The little family they built wasn't for show. It was survival turned into something gentler, stronger. The cabin that once held only echoes now held quiet music, giggles, the hum of soup on the stove. And the sign Lyra once held? It was framed above the mantel, not as a relic of shame, but of hope.